Mike Florio, and it was transcribed by NinerNation.com, said this: I think the Texans are waiting for Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do. I think the Texans may have been the team that was poised to trade for him. Remember, at one point, it slipped out that they had a trade ready to go, and then Jimmy G got shoulder surgery. It fell apart. When they presented that, there was kind of this weird unspoken vibe that they believe that once he's cleared, that possibility reemerges. They've been selling this idea that Davis Mills is their quarterback. Davis Mills is their guy. A lot of tentacles between Garoppolo and the Texans front office. I think he's going to end up with the Texans. That's Florio.
I have a little bit of inside information in the sense of Davis Mills and has nothing to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's pretty clear that they like him, but I mean, I know for a fact they really like him and they were really intrigued. But that's also, he was a 3rd-round pick. They're not that invested in him. And we've never seen Caserio, because since he's been the GM, their team's been so shitty, and he's just traded kind of their only assets to try to get picks back. But what would Belichick do in this situation? Davis Mills hasn't really proven anything, and no fault of his own. The team sucked last year, even though the second half of the season he looked really good. It's not crazy. The problem would be if you do have something in Davis Mills and you bring in Jimmy, does then Jimmy just, what if Jimmy can't beat him? I don't know. I mean, it's a little risky.
Because his growth, is that what you're getting at?
Well, yeah, you're not, like this year, if you're the Texans, you're not expected to make the playoffs. So don't you just want to get like 2 years worth of inventory on this guy and see what you have? A little bit like the Eagles got to do with Jalen Hurts. They just also happened to make the playoffs because their team was a little bit better. If I'm the Texans, I just pulled up their depth chart. Their backup is Kyle Allen, who's, a backup, and Jeff Driscoll. So they got guys that can just be backups. One of those two guys, whoever wins the backup job. Wouldn't you just roll with Davis Mills? Or is that, the way Caserio for 20 plus years, going to the playoffs, winning Super Bowls, competition, Patriots, pretty cutthroat. Obviously, he would have been a huge part of being around Jimmy Garoppolo when he was around, so he knows him really well. If you do like Davis Mills, which I know they do, wouldn't you just see what you got on a season that you're not trying to win 2 games, but if you won 7 games and you're like, God, we actually might have a starting quarterback here for the next 7-8 years.
I think so. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially because Davis Mills is not your normal 3rd-round pick and that he is skilled like a 1st-round pick. His physical traits is not what put him in the 3rd round. His lack of availability at Stanford, did not play a lot of games. I think if we went back and looked, he probably started 9-10 games, something like that at Stanford. It was kind of crazy.
His entire career?
Maybe that number's a hair low, but he didn't start a ton of games at Stanford. COVID, injuries, you don't start playing right away as a freshman as it is at Stanford as a quarterback. So you become draft eligible you can become draft eligible really quickly at Stanford without having played a ton. John's looking it up so you can tell me. But
I went back to his his lineage. I went to his rivals page because
big time recruit out of the state of Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah, out of Georgia. He was the number 10 overall player in the country. And obviously he was the number 1 player in Georgia, which for those of you that aren't super into recruiting, it's not Texas or California, but it's a top 5 state, wouldn't you say, that most people, the way they talk about recruiting? Ohio, Louisiana, Texas, California, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah.
So, you would it'd be easy to justify. This guy was a blue chipper. His college just got weird. It's not like
played 14 games, John. 14 total games.
To me, I would understand it if he was like, he went to Stanford. He was like a preferred walk-on, and then he became a player. No, this guy was a blue chipper who hit some rocky times, who then gets to the NFL. And remember last year when the Niners played him, we watched the previous couple games, like, God, this guy actually looks pretty good. He does. He's big. He's got a good arm. I guess if you and I were running the Texans, let's just say, and we were having this conversation, he's a high character guy and he's got a lot of talent and he got to play a lot last year. It's twofold because you never want to look at like competition always comes first, but it is unique at the quarterback position. I think I would lean. Let's just see what we got in this kid. Because we're not the Steelers. We're not trying to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I would too. Not only would I lean it, I would be all in on Davis Mills. But it's easy for us to tell other people you should be rebuilding if they think we can go win 8 games with Jimmy Garoppolo. That I understand a desire to go do that, right? if they think they can go win 9 games with Jimmy Garoppolo. Losing sucks. I bet Nick Caserio hates losing. No matter what your plan of patience is, it sucks to lose. And if you think you have a valuable asset that you can get for pennies on the dollar because there's not going to be much competition in the trade market, because ultimately the 49ers have no interest in paying Jimmy Garoppolo $26 million to be on the roster, and the player from your time in New England, you could argue that if you're the Texans, you do it only because in the environment of acquiring assets and trading assets and trying to inflate value for assets so you can then trade them. Like, if there's just a value in trying to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo right now, that Jimmy Garoppolo might be worth more to somebody else later than he's worth to all those people right now, right? Like, the market right now is not ripe for Jimmy, but if you can get him, maybe someone will need him week 7, and now you've got him on your roster. You have plenty of flexibility from a financial standpoint because your quarterbacks are cheap. You've got a ton. I think they've got multiple late round picks, one they could use to get Jimmy. Like, they might be looking at it that simply. We can bring him in. If Davis is as good as him, great. Somebody might need Jimmy. Like, the Niners cannot do what other teams could do if they don't give up much to get him, right? The Niners can't keep him around till week 7 and then trade him in early October if somebody gets hurt. But the Texans could.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're looking at it that way, but that's just another kind of loophole in this for a team that were to acquire him if it doesn't cost you much to acquire him.
Can I read you?
What if Davis Mills gets hurt week 2 and you don't want to go 2-13 or
he's not
15.
Mr. Durability, right? The top 10 recruits, and he was 10. Number 1, Najee Harris. Number 2, never heard of him, Marvin Wilson, went to Florida State. 3, Cam Akers. 4, Alex Leatherwood. 5, Josh Canado, never heard of this guy either. 6, Jalen Phillips, UCLA.
Miami, yeah.
7, how about David Shaw back in the day? Walker Little. So he got 2 of the top 10 recruits.
Is Walker from Texas or Georgia?
Yeah, Houston, Texas. Number 8, this guy turned out to be a pretty good player. Chase Young, Ohio State. It's weird. Some of these quarterbacks, Baron Browning, never heard of him, outside linebacker, went to Ohio State, and then Davis Mills.
Any other quarterbacks around in that mix there?
Yeah, I'm searching. AJ Terrell, T. Higgins, Jeff Okudah, Isaiah Wilson, Kellen Mond is the next quarterback. Not a great quarterback class.
John, remember, David Shaw came on this show 2020, said he thought Davis Mills could be a first-round pick.
Tua Tagovailoa, 53rd.
Wow.
You know what position
Tagovailoa
is pretty just like, if you're sweet in high school, you're probably going to be sweet in college, and then you're going to get drafted, is running back. Najee, DeAndre Swift. Running backs, they're sweet, usually just stay kind of sweet. It's not like, you just couldn't break a tackle. No, it's like, no, he's pretty good. Yeah. Diamador Lenore is actually one spot behind Tua Tagovailoa.
Where's Diamador from?
He's from Los Angeles.
Yeah. But hey, look, Florio was saying, I think he's going to end up on the Texans. That's not, he said, I think he's going to end up on the Texans. So
I'm hesitant to say that, even though it's definitely, there are connections with the general manager, and ultimately it is, while we, like you said, we would do it. He might just say, this guy hasn't earned the right to not have competition. Get him in there. Who knows? He gets injured. We're not trying to lose. Could always flip Jimmy again.